Hello, this is Pishard, and this is a video walkthrough for Horse with New Names, my game for Ludum Dare 30. And I'm making this video because the way to play the game, it's a riddle game, and you have to go through the source code, which is okay, you could use any IDE, but you also have to go through the scene in Unity because it was built in Unity, and you need to go through the scene and look through the hierarchy and look in the scene to solve the riddles in the executable. And Unity is it's a great engine, it's a robust engine, but it's also 4 GB download, and so I think that pretty much means that the only people who will play it are people who already have Unity on their computer, which is very understandable that people don't want to download 4 GB to play a game that's like 5 GB. So I'm making this video so people can see what the game is all about, and hopefully I can maybe get some feedback and comments and such from this video about the game for those that can't actually play it. So without further ado, here is the actual executable running for Windows, a Horse with Two Names, and you can find everything needed in on GitHub at my Pishard GitHub LD30 in the repository. So let's begin. So the game is a series of 5 riddles with numerical answers to progress. So let's just get going with the first one. A compass rose, think inside the box is the clue for the first riddle. You can type stuff in and then get it wrong. So I need to go back and look, and I have unfortunately modified a few things because this is the 3rd time I'm trying to make a video, but if we just go back and kind of reset it like it was, don't save, then we go to the scene, which is the scene for the game. You can actually see all the stuff that you see in the executable, and if we look in here, we see that there is a compass, and we go in there, we find a compass rose. Inside the compass rose, we see a box collider with numerical values for center and size. If you take these numerical values in sequence, reading left to right, top to bottom, you get 018432. If I go back to the executable and type 018432, that's the answer to the first riddle. There are hints and stuff strewn about the source code. I tried to kind of think about designing the names and the code not just for functionality, but also for how it's going to be experienced if it's part of the game, because ultimately that's a lot of what this game is about, is my interest in the artifacts of game creation. So the code and the assets and the images, the sounds, having some meaning or use outside of the primary function, which is to create the game that the player then has an experience with. So it's like, well, can they be something else? So we can go to some of these scripts and see stuff. The states, for example, the state system that runs, well, basic switch case system that determines what is going on in the game, has clues about the different riddles. So 6 numbers is the first one, and that's for a compass rose. The second clue is finding oasis. Now I did have to remove some code so people couldn't just open it and immediately see all the answers, because they didn't know how to hide or obfuscate the code. And it'd be cool to do that in the future, also to possibly use a more lightweight engine or something. Anyway, I talk about this in the repo. So finding oasis is for the second clue, and the clue itself was oasis of the heartbreaking loops. So if I go to the scene again, I will see in the hierarchy called the desert, and look at the desert, and it has a script called does nothing but solves riddles of the heart. If I open up that script, I'll see this code here. Basically, there's just a loop running. Every update, it iterates some value up until 1,000. So you see some values like riddles of the heart, integer key, integer heart, integer seed of my heart. So a random seed is set every time, so that when you go through the loop, it's actually, even though it says that it's giving a random value, it's the same random value every time. So the way to solve this riddle, this code right now, right here, would not be in it. I added that just a second ago when I was trying to record this first time. So you add in that code, or you put a breakpoint in when, well, that would actually take a while to get to 381, but when riddles of the heart equals heart at 381, if you debug and log the key, or break it at that point, you'll see that key equals 1818, and that's the answer to the second puzzle. Hence the breaking loops hint with basically checking for a condition in the loop and then putting some value in there. So number 3 is Russian dolls. If you go to the main kind of component for the game where it has the states, you'll see it's obvious for some. This is because if you go to the Unity editor itself and look at the scene and the hierarchy, there's a bunch of words. These are grandmother in their respective languages, like abuela for Spanish, babcha for Polish, and then babushka, which is for Russian. And if you click down through the hierarchy of babushkas, you will get to a bunch of pieces of the key. So these we can turn these off. Well, we'll turn them on and we'll go to piece of the key and look at it, and you'll see that it's just one big capsule collider. But if we turn off all these renderers and then zoom in, we see that all these cues make up 4147, which is the answer of the third riddle. And the fourth one is Rube Goldberg inhibition. We can look, there's some of these scripts are for that, like the other and voice. There's some stuff in the other, let's see, that does some logic, but also there's some fun stuff in there about, like, there's a script called, what is it? Doorway, a fragile mental state. This is actually preventing you from just moving stuff around, although you can comment it out. It'll destroy the game object because that's an easy way to move the ball to the end of this Rube Goldberg contraption. But there's a fun stuff, like everything is attempted to be named to be consistent with the kind of style and design. So you have these vectors that are past, present, future, which essentially work to look at the delta and the change of the position of the character. But we don't know what future is, so we give it just not a number as all 3 values of the vector 3. Anyway, if you run the game in the scene, we can see that where is it? We can see there's a ball rolling around. Let me start it again and we'll see that there's this ball rolling around in this kind of Rube Goldberg contraption. So there's the ball rolling. If you get into it, you'll realize that there's a bunch of code through these gates called voices that can't, and when the code is uncommented or calls the right function, it's intentionally scrambled right now, will eventually lead this ball down to this final path, and on this path is a trap that drops. When the trap drops, everything is deleted here, but it outputs a debug log message that says all is lost. The answer is in the past in the clouds, which is another riddle to basically tell you that this is all kind of about misdirection, hence the clue in the code. And the idea of it all in the past in the clouds is if you look from above before the ball reaches, or prevent the ball from reaching, then you'll see this lineup. If you look at it properly, the end of the contraption where the ball ends, and you'll see the tick marks for 5, which is the answer 5. And then for simplicity, the last one, this was a thought about, well, everything is kind of getting more involved in the code and in the scene itself. This one, the hint is just logical conclusion, and I thought, well, the idea behind this riddle is that it's always been there on the scene from the very beginning, and it may become complicated. I'm not sure. I never actually play tested this because people will overly complicate it thinking that it's something difficult, but in fact it's just 30 from Ludum Dare 30. Enter that, and we have the end, and it tells a little bit about why I'm doing this. So thank you for listening and watching this playthrough. I hope it kind of explains the game. I'd love to hear any feedback from people if they play it or if they watch this in the comment section. Maybe I'll get enough ratings to actually see the ratings on it, because it's such a high barrier to play. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I really appreciate it, and leave a comment, and I hope to play your all's games. Bye.